common theme in the markets is you can't time it. We talked about that. Because if you miss the 10 best days, there's a talking theme around this, it's extremely expensive. So let me give you half of the story, and then I'll give you the whole story of how they sell these mutual funds to the masses. And I know this is a little redundant for you guys because you're not the masses, you're not going to be buying that. But just so you can get a flavor for what's being said, and you might have heard this before. But if you bought and held, if you put $1 million in the S&P 500 20 years ago and didn't touch it, it'd be worth about $5 million now. That's about the average return, and might have been a little more light of, if you did it tomorrow or than that last week, but roughly pretty close. If, however, you missed the 10 best days in the last 20 years, just those 10 days, your result would be cut in half. This is where the argument of you can't time the market, stay invested. The other thing we heard is that financial advisors only get paid when your money's invested. So they're financially motivated to make sure your money stays in the market. Make sense? You guys follow that? So it's not that they're being, bad fiduciaries, but their training, everything they've ever been taught is that you can't time the market, so if you miss those days, you're screwed. What they don't tell you is this, and this is to the conversation about risk that Daryl alluded to. If you also miss the 10 worst days, it goes to 10 million. Big difference, right? So, oh, wait, so if I miss those also, yeah, so if you put it on a chart, it looks like that. Buy and hold, miss the 10 best days, also miss the 10 worst days. Now, are we ever going to time it perfectly? Anybody ever going to time it perfectly like that, where they're going to miss the 10 best days? No. We know that's never going to happen. But I want to illustrate to you what it can look like, and the importance of risk management. Risk management is something that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's not something people, make big pledges about or talk about. They talk about returns and performance. People always ask me, and I'm going to show you in a second, Randy, how did your software do, and what does your software do? How did it perform? Everyone wants to know, how did it perform? And I always have to correct them. The correct question is, how did it perform relative to the risk it took? You guys know this. Risk matters, right? How did it perform relative to the risk it took? Because if I went down to Vegas and I played one hand of roulette and I won, I took my money and I left, and I start going around telling everybody I have the best performing investment in the world. And right? And it would be correct. Hey, I made 35 to 1 on my money. It was perfect. Everybody should be doing it. Everybody runs down there, everybody's not going to get 35 on their dollar.